Greetings, greetings. So let me get my camera together. This is Elaine here. Welcome. So this is my first official podcast I'll be doing with you all. And the name of the podcast is Manifesting Health with Viriya Group, LLC. My name is Elaine Jones. They call me Detroit here in the Caribbean islands, the beautiful island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And they also call me Detroit because they can never remember my name. So welcome. I was asked to do a podcast from the islands from a friend of my cousin who also has a show on WJZZ Cool TV. So I'll be up in Detroit in November, December, where I'll be joining them. But for now, I'm here. And so I'm going to be hosting the show from here on YouTube. And then we'll transfer to WJZZ. So Manifesting Good Health with Viriya Group. Who are we? What are we all about? I'm born and raised in Detroit. A Hawkeye, graduated University of Iowa. Became a social worker for the state of Michigan. I retired and moved to this island with my now ex-husband, who's from here. While I was here, learned how to dive. And once we divorced, I decided to stay here and continue, I should say, our business of herbs, but also sea moss, which the locals taught me how to dive instead of walking along the shore, and get it up to you. So it's there up in stores across the U.S. now. So what I'd like to share with you is information about the herbs and the spices that we move from here to there. We'll be talking about healing herbs and spices used from indigenous people in all of the diaspora. I see a little light here, so I'm gonna see if I can adjust. The light from outside is really bright. Okay, there we go. I'll get in this way. How about that? Okay. Now it's bright on that side, but you can see me. You can see me, so we're good. So that's what I'm going to be covering. My credentials. I'm a former 6-time track and field athlete champion in the Big Ten in the sprints. Competed against FloJo during that era. I ran track in Detroit for Motor City Track Club, and there we produced some of the fastest and most well-known in the track and field circuit, most well-known athletes. A lot of the athletes actually do come from Detroit, but once we leave Detroit, we go to these universities. So they're not going to say Elaine Jones from Detroit. They're going to say Elaine Jones from Michigan State, which is the other school I went to, or University of Iowa, because that's who we're representing. But during my time in the 80s, the majority of the Olympic athletes not only came from California, but they came from Detroit. So yeah, we run fast. So from there, I moved up to the 400 for a time. Qualified for the Olympic trials, didn't qualify for the Olympics. I would later go into the Hawkeye and Michigan Hall of Fame for track and field. So that's where my sports and athleticism comes from. My teammates, who are still dear friends to this day, we travel to visit each other. Most of us are still in pretty good shape. I've actually reversed my aging since being down here. I just turned 62 a month ago, or 2 months ago. um, got a well-being check, and she's functioning at a 35, 40-year-old. And of course, I'll be discussing the health benefits and what I do to stay mobile in my 60s. So why this podcast? Why was I asked? Because of the herbs and spices that Dr. Sabi made well known, and that others such as Dr. Coffee that's in Detroit and others that use the herbs. Dr. Blair, even though he's gone, his practice and his herbs and his center, his meta center continues. So these are the herbs and spices we'll be discussing with you. Let me first talk about the herb that my company is well known for, Viriya Group. So we ship up sea moss, but specifically volcanic sea moss. So what's the difference? Where we're located where there are two underwater volcanoes. One is active, her name is Kickham Jenny. The other is her brother, Kickham Jack, he's asleep. But the nutrients are the most potent on the planet. We also have a volcano that just erupted in 2021 here, La Safre. So between these three islands, once he erupted, or she erupted, I'll say that, Mother Earth, Father Sky, the soil became the richest on the planet, according to those that study volcano and volcanic soil. So that's what I ship up to you. The volcanic version, Kickham Jenny, sea moss. Let's talk about the other herbs. Koldra root, which is also known as guinea hen weed. Corella, which I've shipped up there to get rid of COVID-19. And it worked very well. Monatomic gold, which we will now be shipping up there. What is monatomic gold? It's actual gold or salt from the ocean, the seafloor, that when cooked to the point where it turns into a fine powder, becomes digestible. Met a brother that actually makes the monatomic gold. And what I learned was the ancient Kemetic people first used this monatomic gold. And when they would cook it to the point where it's a white powder, they put it in their bread to eat. According to history, and also the Knights Templar who found it once they went into Egypt, sustains life, prolongs life, and good for overall health. So we're shipping that up there to you as well. It comes in a liquid form, but we're also going to have it in a concentrated form. You can go on my website now and see it and order it, and we'll be sending it to you. My website is www.VolcanoViriya.com. That's VOLCANO, capital VIRIYA.com, Viriya Group. You'll see it in the information below. Let's talk about moringa. So everybody's got moringa in their health food stores. The volcanic moringa and the moringa that you now purchase, the difference is night and day. This is from customers that have actually taken it and notice the difference. It also aids in getting rid of COVID-19. It removes it completely out of the body, along with the chlorella. So we ship it up in the moringa seed form, actually a whole tree at one time. The whole tree is useful. The actual bark, when mixed with rum, yes, rum, not to get high, not to get smooth, but to heal, gets rid of joint pain. That's the root and the bark. The leaves should be drinking by mothers who have just given birth to fortify their breast milk. And we're going to talk more about that in a moment. Well, in the days to come, the other podcasts, I'll get more into detail about mothers and feeding their newborns and the lack of nutrients that they now received. Now, I have to say, I was most disturbed when the U.S. ran low or was running out of Similac and all the baby foods. In the Black communities, our grandmothers used to mix pet milk with water and give it to the babies. But now, even before the shortage, I would get calls from people who have done their studies on sea moss. And these would actually be fathers who would call me and order the sea moss and feed the sea moss along with papaya and other fluids to fortify and feed their baby. And these fluids, this mixture would mimic the mother's breast milk. So we're going to be talking about that. Let's talk about turmeric briefly. Volcanic turmeric. All turmeric is good. The volcanic version does not need black pepper. It's too strong. A pound of volcanic turmeric should last you a year because you only need that much, a finger. And it purifies the entire body. For those of us with melanated skin, your skin will begin to glow and it would turn a brownish, reddish color. And out in the sun, just sun-kissed, beautiful. So that's what we're going to be covering with the turmeric. Alkaline water. Let's talk about alkaline water. Here in all of the Caribbean islands, you get coconut water along with a single lime. Cut the lime open, squeeze it in, drink it, alkaline. The alkaline water that we're drinking in the States and other westernized countries, you have to limit your intake of it. It has too many heavy metals. And after a while, you won't feel good when you drink it. I experienced that when I was still up there. So that's my suggestion. Of course, the coconut water that they ship up there don't taste so good, but spice it up with a little honey and that lemon or lime. We do lime down here. You can do the lemon. If you can get a whole lime, that's what we use down here to alkaline the coconut water to consume. So I was asked again to discuss these herbs and their use and how to apply it to different ailments. Let's talk about cancer. There are health gurus up there in the States. I talk about the ones that use my product that I've known personally to help reduce these ailments. None of us are doctors. These are, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not even a holistic practitioner, but I recommend holistic practitioners that I know personally and have witnessed personally the benefits of what they've done with cancer patients, people with diabetes, high blood pressure, COVID 19, you name it, STDs, you name it, they've assisted, and I've seen the results. So I will only discuss or talk about those that I personally know, like Dr. Coffee in Detroit. There are many in New York, but I don't know them all. And again, um, I would share what I know personally, and those I will research and have researched to recommend. I've been on this health trend since the early 90s and have learned about a lot of herbalists and would caution anyone to do your homework, reviews, especially peer reviews, before you um, pay your money for the products and their advice. That's what I recommend you do. In Detroit, I recommend Dr. Coffee. He has a website. And a personal dear friend of mine, Rahiba Hassan Muhammad. Both of these people in the Detroit area have worked with clients. Well, Dr. Coffee goes back to the 70s. And some of you have paid him a visit. And others have worked with Rahiba Muhammad. Me and Sister Rahiba, we go back since the 90s and have traveled all over the state, all over the country, I'm sorry, to incorporate Native American practices into our way of life. So we will be sharing that with you. The sweat lodges, the Anithi, the Vision Quest, powerful. I'll share with you my own personal story of how it healed me back in the early 2000s. So a lot of good stuff is coming your way. We're going to be talking about aging younger, as I mentioned. We're going to be talking about the diet in college and high school. There's a basketball coach on the East Coast that's now hosting seminars on getting healthy foods into the cafeterias of all the HBCUs, which is excellent. There are some students at Howard, they've graduated now, that have made the CMOS from my CMOS, the CMOS gel from my CMOS, and helped moved it and made some profit. So college students that want to make profit, I'll be more than happy to work with you, get these herbs to you so you can get them to your classmates. And speaking of classmates and being a former athlete, the moringa seeds, most powerful. Won't need anything besides that to stay up for your late night studies. It's healthy. The only side effect is that you'll be up. And for the men in the Caribbean, they'll tell you be careful not to make a baby. And I'll leave it at that. But this is something I've personally experienced. My team in Detroit at the Powerhouse, where we do bodybuilding, has personally experienced the potency of the moringa powder with the seeds. Excuse me. So for you athletes, for you students, when you have to stay up so late for your studies, I'm moving around because this light is very bright. So I'm going to get closer. And I'm trying not to block myself out. Okay, there we go. My life, my life, my life in the sunshine. So they can use these products to stay up, to study for their finals or midterms. I remember those days. We talked about baby nutrition briefly that we'll be covering in detail. We're also going to be talking about U.S. foods and how they're sending their steroid chickens to third world countries. And these people are dropping like flies in their 20s from cancer. We're going to talk about the banned foods that's banned in other countries, even in other European countries, England, France, Switzerland, but they continue to sell or keep these ingredients in products in the US. That's going to be a big discussion. We're going to be talking about black hair. Now, when we go get our braids and even some of our human hair, which I don't recommend, I'll get into that. The chemicals are poisonous. The hair I have is actually coconut fiber. So I've gotten away from the synthetic braiding hair. And this is from Africa, Togo. And it's chemical free. And even when my hairdresser is braiding my hair, she knows the difference. She doesn't itch as much. The chemicals are not getting into her bloodstream. So they are so toxic and poisonous, it even harms the hairdressers that's putting it in your hair. So it's serious. Recommend go online and look for natural fiber braiding hair. You will not find it in these Asian stores. And we're going to be talking about that because there are Black-owned hair supply stores that are having a hard time getting supplies because they are Black, yet we run into the Asian stores and we consume and we buy and we turn their business into $1 billion business. Yes, it's time to do for self, and unfortunately it takes others to harm us before we wake up. But we're waking up nonetheless, and we're coming together. So, as far as I'm concerned, there's a silver lining in all of that. We're going to be talking about exercise. I mentioned briefly about my team at Powerhouse Gym there in Highland Park. We're going to be talking about the best and worst exercises for all ages. With me being in my 60s and reversing a lot of the damage from what we call just growing old. We're not growing old at all. It has nothing to do with age. That I will be testifying to personally. The best and worst exercises. We'll be talking about that. We'll be bringing in guests, of course, and experts in these areas. I'll be sharing my little knowledge that I've learned in these 60 plus years. And my guest will come and share their knowledge. So that's all I have for my introduction to Manifesting Health with Viriya Group LLC. And I am going to finish here. I just got my fins, my new fins. And so I'm going to go do some diving. I'll do snorkeling for today. And then I'll be going out later on in the week to get more sea moss and dry it. And I'm going to be sending up various colors to you all, along with the other herbs and spices we'll be talking about. And you can go on my website. I'm rebuilding it. I'll have a list of stores in each of the states where we're located. We're located all over the world, but for US, that website will list where you can get the products throughout the country. Yeah. So thanks. I'll see you soon and take care. Bye.